All right, good morning, guys. Happy Wednesday. Tomorrow we're going to have a short quiz over exponential growth and decay functions. So make sure that you're prepared for that. As well, make sure that you are checking in for attendance by 1 p.m. So today we're going to talk about exponential growth and decay once again. And I think the most important thing we can start off with is exponential functions. Our definition here is just a function where I've got x in the exponent. And typically we're going to see it in this form, a times 1 plus r to the x. And the key, again, is having that x in the exponent. So what we're going to be really focusing on, if we kind of think about zooming in almost in your mind, the part of this equation that we should really be honing in on for growth versus decay is right here. This 1 plus r is going to tell us everything we need to know about growth and decay. So in exponential growth, that part, that 1 plus r, if it's growing, should it be bigger than or smaller than 1 if it's growing? Well, if it's growing, if it's getting bigger, then it should be greater than 1. And then in exponential decay, the part in the parentheses should be less than 1. So again, exponential growth, this part here, bigger than 1. Exponential decay, this would be smaller than 1. But we also have this variable a to worry about here. And what does that mean? Well, a is the initial amount of, bacteria or fish or money or whatever it is that's growing or decaying exponentially over time. So a is that initial amount, and r is how fast is it growing or decaying. And today we're going to focus again on finding the rate of growth or decay, but we're going to look at times when it's not 1 plus something or 1 minus something. We're going to look at a time when I've simplified the number in parentheses, because in data, if you're looking at raw data, you're not always going to see 1 plus 0.2 or 1 minus 0.46. You'll see a simplified version like you would down here, 0.25 to the x. So what we're going to do every single time is first we'll identify, is it growth or decay? Is it bigger or smaller than 1? So here we can see this is decay, smaller than 1. And then we're going to take that stuff in parentheses and we'll set it equal to 1 plus r. And then we're going to solve for r. So for example, here we would say 1 plus r equals 0.25. So let's start with another practice problem here down below. Our first 4 problems, we're going to identify just growth or decay. And again, we're really honing in on the stuff in parentheses. So since this is review, I'm going to do the first one, and I'll leave the next 3 for you guys to try. Pause the video and try those out. So first of all, this one, bigger than 1. So it's going to be exponential growth. All right, and again, you guys try the next 3. So 0.9 is smaller than 1, so that's going to be decay. 1.1 is bigger than 1, so that's growth. And 0.5 is smaller than 1, so that's decay. All right, now let's really focus back in on what we were doing for today. So we're looking at this growth or decay function, and we're trying to determine what's the growth or decay factor. So the initial amount's pretty easy to identify. Just that first number is a. So, we'll say 22 or 1400. So why don't you guys take a second, fill in the rest of those, and I'll switch colors here. And we're going to look at finding our growth or decay factor. So again, what we're doing is we're saying 1 plus r equals 1.6. We'll just set 1 plus r equal to the stuff in parentheses, and then we can solve for r. And we're always just going to be subtracting 1. So this ends up being r is 0.6. So this reduces to 0, and r is 0.6. Same thing over here. We'll say 1 plus r equals 0.4. And we know this is a decay function because it's smaller than 1. So what happens here is when I subtract 1 from both sides, I get a negative number over here. This will be a negative number. And I'll end up with r equals negative 0.6. But what I'll do is, for my final answer, I know that's a rate of decay. I'm just going to take 0.6. I'm not going to worry about that negative sign out front, because I could tell you that it's a rate of decay, and then that negative would kind of be redundant. All right, we'll do the next one together, and then I'll leave you guys the last 3 here to try, and we'll fill those out after you pause the videos and finish that. So initial amount is, let's see, 1 initial amount here is 900. And we'll say 1 plus r equals 0.7. If I subtract 1 from both sides, r is negative 0.3. And remember, we just take the positive value there. Same thing here, 1 plus r is 1.09. And this must be a growth function because it's bigger than 1. So when I subtract, I get r is 0.09. And let's do the last 2. This is 70, 16. 1 plus r is 0.64. R is 0.36. And r is 2.53. So again, that quiz